Hello my dear sewing friends, welcome to my channel. It's Fola here, and today's tutorial will be on how to draft a basic bodice pattern. The measurements I'll be making use of are shoulder, which is 15 inches, bust point 10 inches, waist point, which is also half length, is 16 inches, inclusive of the half-inch allowance to join it to the peplum. My bust circumference measurement is 37 inches, and my waist circumference measurement is 29 inches. So I have my pattern paper on fold because I'll be drafting both the front and the back bodies together, and also I will not be adding zipper allowance to the back bodice pattern. So let's get started. I already ruled my starting line, and I will insert the vertical measurements, that is the measurement from the nape of the neck along the bodies. First, I will start with half of my armhole. And how do you determine that? That is your bust circumference measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. The bust measurement I'm working with is 37. 37 divided by 6, that is 6.166, is approximately 6.2 plus 1.5 inches, that is 7.7. So I will insert that here. I have a detailed video on accurate tape reading. You can check it out. Also, I will insert my bust point, which is 10 inches. I also insert it here to get a straight line. 10 inches for the bust point, and also half length, that is my waist point, which will be the length of the bodies, that is 16 inches. Half-inch sewing allowance inclusive. It is actually 15 and half, but I added half-inch seam allowance to join it to the peplum or the skirt. Then I'll rule it into a straight line. Now I will insert the horizontal measurement, starting with the 3 inches 8 inches standard to determine the shoulder slope. As you know, the human shoulder is slopy, so 3 inches and 8 inches. Then on the 8 inches point, you come down by 1 inch and connect to the 3 inches point. Now at this point, I will insert half of my shoulder measurements, which is 15 divided by 2, that is 7.5 inches. So that goes here, and also on the chest line. So this is the chest line, this is the bust point line, and this is the waist point line. So I'll connect right here to the chest line. Now at this point, let me draft the armhole first. From your shoulder slope to the chest line, you get the midpoint. What do I have here? I have 6/7/8 of an inch, 6/7/8 inches. So half of that right here. Then at that point, you come in by 3/4 of an inch for the front armhole, whilst this still remains the back armhole. The front armhole curves in deeper than the back armhole. Now I will insert quarter of my bust circumference measurements, which is 37 divided by 4, that is 9.25. You can add ease allowance between quarter of an inch to half inch, but I'll leave it at the exact quarter of my bust measurement, which is 9.25. Then I will also insert my waist measurement, quarter of my waist measurement. First, let me take in the dart. Now, what I'll be using for the dart is the bust span measurement. That is the measurement from one nipple point to the other. That is what you are going to use for your dart location. And my bust span measurement is 8 inches. So you divide that by 2. Half of your bust span measurement, half of mine is 4 inches. Now on both sides, I'll take in half an inch. Now this also depends on how prominent you are on the bust area. You can go in as far as 3/4 of an inch or even 1 inch. And it also depends on the outfit you are drafting. But on the average, half an inch on both sides is okay. Now my half of my bust span measurement also goes on the bust point line. Now on the bust point line, you come down by 1 inch. And I'll connect my dart. Now let me insert quarter of my waist measurements. The waist circumference measurement I'm working with is 29. 29 divided by 4, that is 7.25 inches. Now you are going to put into consideration the dart you already took in here. So you will add whatever you took in here back to the waist measurement, quarter of your waist measurement. So 7.25, since I took half inch on both sides, that is 1 inch. So 7.25 plus 1 inch, that is 8.25. You can also add ease allowance if you want, between quarter of an inch to half inch, but I'll leave it at the exact measurement, 8.25. And I'll connect. Also, I will add 1 inch side seam allowance. That is to join the sides together. 1 inch is enough for both the bust and the waist. Now let's go back to the armhole area before I go to the neckline area. Now on these points, you will make use of your armhole curve and connect from the actual quarter of your bust circumference measurements. I'll connect to the front armhole using my armhole curve. Then connect to the shoulder. And also the back armhole. You connect like so. So this is the front armhole, which comes in deeper, and this is the back armhole. Now let's go to the neckline. On the average, you can make use of 3 inches for the width and also 3 inches for the length of the neckline, and it also depends on your choice or the choice of who you are drafting an outfit for. I will make use of 3.5 inches for the width of this neckline and also 3.5 inches for the length. So I have 3 inches here already. So ½ inch will be on this line, on the shoulder slope line. And also for the back width, I'll make it 1 inches. It also depends on your choice, and I'll make use of 3.5 inches for the front length neckline. I'll connect, making use of my armhole cuff. Now for the shoulder area, you come in by ½ inch for the seam allowance to join both the front and the back shoulder together. So ½ inch. Now connect using my ruler. So I will have to cut it out, separate them, and work separately on both. So first, since I'm drafting both the front and the back bodies together, I'll be cutting out the back armhole and the back neckline first. So you'll be cutting on the side seam allowance. And also don't forget to cut the back armhole first. Now I will separate them and work on both separately. Now note, this dart only applies to the front bodies. So for the back bodies, I will note the chest line on the back, because that is what will be used for the back dart. Now I will set the back basic bodies pattern apart and work on the front, then come back to it. Now I'll cut the front neckline. And also the front armhole. So this is the front pattern. Now let's go to the back bodies. So I already marked the chest line here, so I'll connect it to this end. Now On the chest line, I will insert half of my bust span measurement, which is 4 inches. And note, on the hem of the waistline, on the hem of the back bodice rather, I will come up by 3/4 of an inch. And why am I doing that? This is in order to avoid the back bodies coming down than the front bodies. So I will halter it at this point. You can come in by half an inch on the average. Half an inch is okay. And it also depends on how prominent you are on the bust area. So half an inch, between half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch. But since the bust circumference measurement I'm working with is 37, 3/4 of an inch is okay. I'll connect it to the hem at the side seam. Just watch how I do it, because I've experienced it that when I joined my bodice to the peplum, the back bodice was coming down, like it looked kind of funny. So this alteration will take care of that. So this part will be cut off. Then on this line, I will also insert half of my bust span measurements, which is 4 inches. I'm taking the half-inch dart on both sides. On the chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch and connect my dart. Can you see? So this part will be cut off. And also, if you want to add zipper allowance, I did not add zipper allowance, just like I said at the beginning of the class. So I'll just write it here, add 1 inch zipper allowance. So when I'm cutting it on my fabric and I need to add zipper allowance, this will remind me to add 1 inch zipper allowance. So don't forget that. Now I will cut off these parts and our back bodice pattern is ready. You see? So when you are taking your dart, it will be this way. So this is the front bodice pattern, while this is the back bodice pattern. So guys, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. If this tutorial has been helpful, why don't you give me a giant thumbs up, share, and also comment down below. Don't forget to also hit the red subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. And also turn on the notification bell to get notified each time I upload a new video. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!